Hey, what's up, everybody? This is your boy Marcus Lewis, and this is episode 9 of the Ask a Jazz Dude show, where jazz pianist Carl.
Hey,
Charles.
thanks a
Hey,
lot.
I need more coffee. Charles Williams comes through. Thank you for tuning in.
Ask a jazz dude.
No, 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 no. Let's start the show. All right. Hello. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in. So, this is episode 9, and this is actually Charles Williams, not Carl Williams. So, tell the people out there who are listening in. I like to know about people's story, like how they grew up, and then, how you got into music, and then in particular jazz and the piano.
Okay. Actually, I am a native of Kansas City, Kansas. Um, and as a boy, I just remember music was just something I liked. I just couldn't get around it. It's just something I liked. My mom had records, and we had an old record player, and we would just listen to like old stuff, and Motown was just being born then, so it was a lot of that out. Just all kinds, and I just didn't like one type of music. I liked all kinds of music, whether it was something from the Disney movies or whether it was something from old movies, like with Fred Astaire or somebody like
Right.
that. Something about the music, the violins, all that. It just really appealed to me that I just like all kinds of music. So I would listen to things. I can remember this was my mom's record collection. She had stuff like by pianist Roger Williams. She had, of course, Jackie Wilson. She had Earl. Roy Hamilton, the singer. Um, there was a song she had on there. It was, "I'm gonna sit right down and cry all over you," and it was just it was a really nice song. And I remember the sax solo on there just I really liked it a lot. But Johnny Mathis, of course, she had that. Then she had things like Mal Jamal.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And I tell you, that was one of his first albums. And I remember one that I really liked was the Volga Boatman song, where he took it and it was just different. And everything on there, all this like Poinciana and all those. And I would play those things over and over again. Didn't know what I was setting myself up for. So we had an old player piano, and we were very poor. We didn't have much, but we did have a small home. Probably, I would say only like a 5 room house downstairs. My grandmother lived upstairs.
Mm.
Um, so my sisters and I had to share the same bedroom. My mom had her own, dad had their own bedroom. It was a very small house, but it was family. School was right across the street, so but anyway, getting to the player piano, all I knew was a piano, and this deal inside would turn around, this roller, and I'd always wish it would be music on it, but I would play, and the things that I heard, I had this ear where I could hear something, and I'd go to the piano, and I would pick it up and try to match whatever I heard, and I would do that over and over again, and as time went on, my auntie, her name is Ellen
Mm.
Ruth Ellis, uh, who is still living, uh, saw the potential. She said, "Hey, I'm gonna get him hooked up with some piano lessons," and
Right.
she started paying for my first piano lessons. Music runs through my family, by the way, because my uncle was a good piano player and a singer and a writer, and he sang with some old groups. called The Penguins and the Hollywood Flames. And my uncle actually wrote Earth Angel. And his name was Curtis Williams.
Really?
Yes. And I got to only meet him once in my life. He came to the house when I was like 10 years old. And he sat and played the piano and sang all night. You talking about being inspired.
Wow.
And, but unfortunately, he died at an early age down in Beaumont, Texas. And, well, I'm getting sidetracked here. Let me go back to the piano, and then I'll get back into his life after I talk about that. So anyway, with the piano lessons, I started taking lessons from a lady over in Kansas City, Kansas, and she's deceased now, Miss Burdett. And then after that, I went to Miss Kane, Dorina Kane, and she's gone as well. But she was more like a sergeant piano teacher. She really whipped me into shape.
Oh, okay.
Know? But most of my lessons, my inspiration came from Reginald Buckner, who was a great piano player, organist, and he discovered me when I was in fifth grade, and I was playing an auto harp in fifth grade class, and he was wondering how I knew how to change the chords, and I just said it's because I see them there. But I was taking piano lessons, so he pulled me out, put me on a melodica, and I played Joy to the World without any music. He said, "How do you know how to do that?" I said, "I just do." So he put me on a team of melodica players, and I played with them. And then as I went on to junior high school, he was the band teacher there, and he put me on trombone.
Yeah, I saw that. You was a trombone player.
I was a trombone player for 15 years.
Oh wow, man!
Yeah.
Do you still play it all?
I don't. My embouchure is gone, but I remember every single thing about it. If I pick it up, I can still remember all my scales and all that. And I mean, that was some of my best times as a trombonist because I got to work with a lot of major artists that came through Kansas City as a young guy, and so quite interesting.
Cool. So now you start studying the piano, and then through high school you played the trombone. So like once you graduated high school, what did you do next?
Well, I'll put it like this: after Reginald Buckner, let me tell you a couple things. Reginald Buckner moved away, took a job at the University of Minnesota.
Okay.
My ninth grade year, and that was my ninth grade year. I met Clark Terry at the Sumner High School under Leon Brady.
Oh, Leon, yeah, okay.
And so I was so excited because they had concerts like that for the public right in the inner city. They had Clark Terry at Sumner High School, and it was packed there. And Mr. Brady introduced me to him, said, "Well, he's coming here next year," and all this, and I was really excited,
Right.
And they had a dynamic jazz band back then. I mean, Horace Washington was one of the cats in that band, then. And so then, my other experience and help came through Leon Brady. Continued that walk in my music life with him, and our jazz band was one of the top jazz bands in the world. We went to Paris when I was 16, to the Paris International Jazz Festival, and we won first place jazz band in the world out of 4 high school bands that went there from the United States.
Wow, that's incredible.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, I never got a chance to meet Leon, but since I moved here, I've heard so much about him and what he did for jazz education, just the jazz community in general. And we're going to get into some stuff later, but why you mentioned that Clark Terry came in and did a concert in high school. What do you think is different now? Why we don't have those type of things?
I think honestly, a lot of politics is bled into the schools and taken a lot of the music programs out. As a sub teacher, sometimes I notice A lot of schools don't have instruments anymore. It's like they just taking all this stuff away from them, and the kids don't have that exposure anymore. There are no more programs that bring in clinicians, jazz artists, or they can be R&B artists. You know, those guys would come in and would do in jazz improvisational classes, and we learned a lot of stuff. Now, I'm going to give you, for instance, like in the '70s, they had what was called a Turner House Jazz Series. Like in the '70s, I guess probably like '71 on up to maybe '74 or '5. They brought in people with money from the National Endowments of Arts. I'm telling you, we have top class people. Uh, People like Bobby Watson was a young guy, me, myself, Horace Washington, and a whole host of others. And we were in the band, and we played behind these guys. And I'm gonna tell you, the guys that came in. First guy that came in, I remember, was Clark Terry and Frank West,
Wow.
and uh, Ernie Wilkins, uh, Charles Minkus came through, Max Roach came through twice, Dizzy Gillespie. Um, so what happened is they had clinics, and we would go there and learn how to do jazz improv. And then they had jam sessions, and all the guys that were local cats would just show up.
Right.
People would just show up out of the woodwork that we didn't even know was coming. I remember Joe Jones, the drummer, just showing up here in Kansas City
Wow.
when Max Roach was here, and we would do free concerts in the park with this big trailer. And they would park it in the park, and they set up, and we would just jam, and it was free.
Man, that's great. So it's funny that you say that. So one of the things that I'm trying to do is, especially with this big band thing that I got going on with the big band hip hop thing, is that's what I want to do. So I want to go on the east side because there's no music venues over there. No place for people to hear music, or if they could, some people probably can't afford it. No music for kids to hear. The only stuff they hear is stuff that's on the radio.
Exactly. Yeah.
So I'm trying to raise money so I can pay cats to go. We're gonna just set up in a park and do a free concert.
That'd
do
be
that
awesome.
all around. You know what I mean? Because I don't think like you said, with all the politics and schools and government, they're not gonna be behind that type of thing. So we just got to figure out a way to do it on our own.
Yeah, unfortunately, yeah. A lot of the funding has been cut. A lot of them, even in the state of Kansas, a lot of funds were cut under that governor there. Well, of course, he's not there anymore. But so it was very frustrating. We lost a lot of jazz festivals and things too because of that.
Wow. So I just want to take a second to shout out Nick Zuck and Jim Vandal for watching and tuning in. Moxie Malloy, thank you for watching. Bill Sundown from KKFI is watching. We'd like to thank them for partnering with us. I see Christopher Dennett just jumped in. Chris Dennett is a good friend of mine from Valdosta. Well, he's actually from Quitman.
Okay.
But he got his graduate degree here in trumpet.
Okay.
Yeah, so and sometimes it doesn't show me all the people who are in here.
Yeah.
So just say hello in the comments, guys, so we know that you're here and maybe where you're watching from, so we can keep tabs on that. And then also, if you have any questions for Charles, feel free to type them in, and we'll try to get to as many of them as we can. And then we can go back to later and answer the ones that we don't get to. So we want to make sure we get everybody in there. So thank you guys for tuning in. All right, so before I get into our main topic, because I think we need to talk about the Kansas City jazz scene, past, present, future. Where you see it going. What are some good things about it? What are some things that need some help? And hopefully we won't get in too much trouble. But I want to play some music. I want to play one of your tunes because you got a CD release coming up.
Yes.
Which we'll talk about. And I picked a couple songs that you sent me, And the first one I do is of a standard, great standard, yesterday. So talk a little bit about the arrangement because I like the arrangement too.
Oh,
So,
okay, wow, okay.
Talk about the arrangement and then why you chose that standard for your.
No particular reason. I just like the song. I like, uh, as I grew up, I heard all the music. I think I grew up in one of the best times
Mm-hmm.
ever that I could grow up in because a lot of the great jazz artists were still living. They were playing their music. So I was born in '55. Tells you how old I am. And I don't care. And so a lot of those things, the Basie and Ella and all them were still around. The Ed Sullivan Show. We saw Diana Ross and Supreme, the Beatles. All them, those guys get their debut on Ed Sullivan Show, the Jackson Five, and it was just a great time. Chick Corea, Stanley Clark, all this great music just being birthed, and I just felt like that was a good time to be a part
Mm-hmm.
of that, because and you didn't have no iPods and iPhones and all that, so I think when we had tape recorders and things like that and our albums, we had to listen over and over and over again, and it helped us to be able to break down parts, learn music even in a greater depth. That's just my own personal opinion
Mm-hmm.
because there were times when I wanted to learn something, I would hear it over and over again. So I didn't realize as I was listening, I knew where those horns came in or where those strings came in. So anytime I try to do like a Motown review show today, I try to be as authentic as I can, even if I have to use a keyboard to try to make it, because I think that's what a lot people are looking for, certain things to hear in certain songs.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of people still like some of the music, but I don't know. Did I get off track?
No, you're cool. So we're gonna play this track from your CD, and it's
Yeah.
called "Flavors of Jazz." I like
Yeah,
that. So
thank you.
we'll get into that a little bit later. But here's Charles Williams trio with "Yesterdays." Yeah, thank you. We're back. So leave in the comments. I really like that arrangement of yesterday's. And guys, if you're just tuning in, here, let me let you know who we're talking with. This is Charles Williams. He's a great piano player here in Kansas City. It's Charles Williams, and you can find him on Instagram at PianoMan813. And of course, my name is Marcus Lewis, and you can find me at Jazz Bonus. We'd like to thank KKFI
Yeah.
for partnering with us. And yep. So thank you guys for tuning in. Give a shout out to Kemet Coleman. Thank you for tuning in. So we talked a little bit about how jazz used to be in Kansas City. And one of the main reasons why I started this show and just the stuff I'm doing is trying to build some sort of community in jazz where, you know, we can all work together for a common goal of just having the music reach more people. You know, I don't think we have to, like you were saying, we don't have to force anything on anybody. But a lot of people just aren't aware of a lot of good music that's out there, a lot of good players.
Absolutely.
And you know, in the Kansas City jazz scene, I definitely feel like it's a good scene, but it's let me see how I can put this. It isn't representative of all the talent that is in Kansas City.
Absolutely.
So presently, it's a good scene, but let's talk about a little bit about some of the things that could improve, you know, from your point of view.
Yeah. You know, this is my own little personal opinion. Sometimes I wish that there was a law. You know, you have equal opportunity. I think there should be equal opportunity for all musicians. You know, I'm just a realist. It seems like some people can get in places to play more than other people, and I think it's just like any other kind of job. You know, it's like, hey, people get in because of how much they know or who they know, and that's kind of like this. That's just the way the world is, pretty much. That's how things can almost operate. It's about who you know to get into the business, especially in the music industry. Sometimes it's not even all about the talent you have. It's about who you know. And I'm just, like I said, I'm being honest. I mean, there's things you can hear on the radio that don't sound all that great. But because you have things like money or you have people that you know, you can push that. And that's just the way it is in the world, period. I have nothing against that. You know, it's just that here in Kansas City, I think that we have a treasure here, lots of opportunities. I am not saying that I don't have any opportunities. Things have been good to me. Kansas City has been good to me. There's a lot of things that can improve. I've been here for years, and it's kind of slow sometimes, you know, but I think we're picked up. I think it's getting to the point now. We got a lot of venues opening up with live music, and a lot of people they're hurting for live music, you know, and so a lot of the guys I notice are working more, and you know, because sometimes it's hard for me to book some people with myself because people are getting jobs playing music, so that's a good sign here in Kansas City. I know a lot of guys that come in from other cities all over across the United States. They love what they see going on here. They say, "Oh, we don't have that in California, or we don't have that in this city." You know, Dallas and people like that talking about we don't have a lot of jazz clubs like that. You know, it's limited. It's just a limited for them. I just think if we have more music programs to help get our kids focused, and that helps get them off the streets.
Man. So I didn't mean to cut you off, but so that's what's another thing I'm working on too. My wife always tells me you're doing too much. She's always like, you try to do too much, just do one thing. And so I'm hopefully signing next week, but partnering with the Climber Center that's on 12th and
Oh yeah, exactly.
Sale over there. And so basically, I have a program called Future Jazz, and we jazz education for young kids. So,
Yeah.
right now it's at Johnson County Community College.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm trying to get a location in the inner city. So right there where that housing project is. So what we're going to do is I'm a partner with BAC because I'm a BAC artist. We're going to do a big instrument drive, get some instruments donated.
Awesome.
BAC is going to fix the instruments for free.
That's awesome. Yeah.
And then so we're going to, implement this program at that center where the kids can walk there. They have their instrument. All they got to do is maintain a B average.
That's good.
Get their grades up. And then if they finish out the program, then they can keep that instrument when they're done. They can have that instrument for the rest of their life. And potentially do something.
I like hearing that. Yeah.
So and it's like, even if they don't, not everybody's going to be a musician, but at least they'll have awareness of the music that's out there. Because a lot of those kids don't even know, jazz or even heard jazz before. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And that was the neighborhood where, all the cats from back in the day, that's where they were.
Yeah.
So I think it's fitting for it to be right there and hopefully rejuvenate something with the youth in the inner city, the Kansas City.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think a lot of things that I've heard too, everything has become more electronic and digital. So you got, and even though I'm a keyboard player and, you got all your instruments are on keyboards now, trumpets and horns and strings, and there's nothing wrong with that, but it kind of takes away from a person learning. They'd rather learn how to play it on a keyboard than to take the time to learn the whole instrument itself. There is such a difference between playing a real violin and playing a violin on a keyboard.
Mm-hmm.
There's a technique and there's a sound that never can replace a real violin player.
Yeah, you'll never be able to do that.
It takes a special person to be able to take a keyboard and bend that sound. Or if you're going to do a flute solo, you have to know what a flute sounds like. You have to know what a trombone sounds like. But nothing replaces the real person playing that instrument and knowing all the knowledge and the technique and how the tone should be and everything. You can't produce a tone out of a keyboard. Only that person can develop their own certain tone for every instrument,
Yeah, it's like technology is a blessing and a curse a lot of times.
Yeah.
It's like you have so much of that going on, but then it's like, for instance, I posted a video on YouTube and somebody will send me a message on YouTube and go, "Oh, I like that arrangement. Can I buy that chart?" And they'll be in London. You know what I mean? So it's like they never would have heard of that. So it's like that's the good side of technology, but then the bad side is, stuff that people aren't really sometimes building that relationship with the instrument, like sitting in the room with it, just you and the instrument, and getting the nuances of it.
It's just like learning. I think a lot of times one of the downfalls of today's music is I think people promote themselves way before their time because they just want to be seen. And there's nothing wrong with that, but in a point there is, it's like you can't become a CEO at a big firm overnight. People work their way up to the top. Learn your craft. Learn everything about that. I tell people, I can't take you and put you in a microwave and turn it on for 15 seconds and you're a piano player. You have to work at your craft no matter what it is, whether you're going to be a plumber, an electrician, you're going to make mistakes, you're going to get shocked sometimes when you're working with those wires. That's just part of learning. You're going to have leaks when you're a plumber, but as you learn and progress and as you get the experience, you will, things will open up for you. But just to jump in there and there are some people I think that are just born prodigies that have a gift of music. Just like there's some people just born with wealth and knowledge and smarts. Some people have to work. So it just varies, but when, our American Idols and The Voice and all those things took place, it seemed like it was more competitive, not so much about the talent. But some people have the talent, but I think it's all about just trying to get out there. But I think some people get out there before their time.
Right.
That's just my honest opinion.
No, that's a great statement. Hey to Alyssa Murray, the piano player and vocalist,
Chris.
Dane Justice, and Chris Hazelton,
Hey, Chris.
organ player. Thank you for tuning in, guys. Yeah, I tell because young kids ask me that a lot if I do like a master class. And if I was a young person, I would just like you said, just keep working hard at your craft, and then if you want to post stuff on social media or whatever, maybe you should document your journey of like how I'm learning this instrument as opposed to like I know everything there is to know and like look at me. You know what I mean? I think people would be more interested in the journey of how you're progressing.
Oh, absolutely.
Because you'd be like, yeah, I'm working on these drop two voices or whatever, and I can't do it now, but a month later I got it, under my fingers.
Yeah, I think as you work, opportunity will open the door for you automatically. You don't have to bust down doors just to get somewhere. I just think that's another principle of life. Whether you're in corporate America or anything, if you're doing what you're supposed to do, if you're showing up on that job on time and you put in the work, somebody's going to notice you, and then they're going to say, "Hey, look, we want to give you this opportunity. We want to promote you." Mm-hmm. And the same thing with music. People see, they know whether you're working at your craft, and they're going to, door will open for you. And I tip my hat to a lot of musicians I know. I know some cats now that are overseas, doing their thing with their music. Mm-hmm. They work hard on their crafts. There's some really talented young musicians here, and I really tip my hat to them. They work hard. They're writing some good music, and I'm like, man, this sounds great. I'm glad that this is keeping on, here in Kansas City. I just hope that we can have a greater sense of the city. I don't think Kansas City is up to 100% where we can have that notability of people say, "Hey, Kansas City is that jazz city." Yeah. There's a lot that needs to still be done.
I mean, because I'm not from here, but from outside looking in, I see Kansas City as like people like they want it to be a jazz city, but they just want to call it that because it sounds good, but it's not really that way. You know what I mean? It's like I feel like, but just not that there's not the people that want to hear the music. I just think that for one, the venues, a lot of venues, there's some good venues out there, but they're not doing a good job of representing the scope of jazz music in Kansas City.
Yeah.
Like, for me, I've always been composing, so I like to play my original music. There's not very many spots where I can book and play my original music.
Yeah. It's a psychological thing. I think there's a lot of clubs here, and I'm not knocking clubs, but if you're going to be a jazz club, play jazz. Yeah. If you can play some smooth jazz, but if you're going to just play R&B all the time, you're setting a precedence. You're setting, I'm like, hey, going to be a jazz club, play the jazz. Let the jazz be your focus. If this is a jazz city, play it. Unfortunately, I'm thankful for people like KKFI that does have opportunity to play jazz, but it would be nice if Kansas City had a 24-hour jazz station, but it's not here. We did have a smooth jazz station. It's gone. It frustrates me sometimes to go to other cities and they're playing jazz 24 hours and we don't even have it. We're supposed to be a jazz city.
Yeah, I thought about doing that, on my website, having a streaming,
And there's some venues that got things going on with jazz and jazz streaming here in the city, but I think it's not promoted as much as it could be. I know one venue in particular that's got their own radio station, and so they're playing nothing but original music, which I think that's a good thing. Something that would be nice if a lot of other people were doing kind of like that same thing, promoting ideas and jazz pieces from people, original things like that, to get out there. I think music is something that we just need in our life every day. I can't go a day without hearing any kind of music, even if it's a commercial on TV.
Yeah.
You
guys got any questions I see some piano players out there. You guys got any questions for Charles before we get into his next song? If so, leave them in the comments there. Um, yeah, but that's what I want to see is just cats being more accountable for the scene, and like my thing is it's not about getting gigs. It's not like how many gigs you can get. It's about the presentation of a gig. When we talked on the phone, you said that there's not any bands anymore, and I totally agree. I think if we had more bands that would actually rehearse and play together, like the representation of the music would be a lot better. Because I feel like there's a lot of players, but sometimes I feel like when I see certain bands, and I'm not like talking about anybody in particular, so don't. But it's just like it's four really great musicians not playing together. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's a whole different thing. And I think people that even are not musicians, when they listen to music, they can feel that. They can feel that unstableness.
Yeah, and I think another thing that is lost too is commitment. A lot of people, it's hard to start a band anymore and get committed people. Everybody's trying to make $1
because they got to eat. Yeah.
Yeah, and I don't blame you. You got to eat, but as far as rehearsing, there's some guys out there that do rehearse. I commend them for that. But trying to get a dedicated person, like you think back 30, 40 years ago, 50, people like Ray Brown and Oscar and all them, those guys worked together for years. And even your groups like Chicago and Frankie Beverly and Maze, these guys have been together for years, and it paid off. But sometimes I think when there's not a stability there and a commitment, it's hard to have that cohesiveness, that strength to play that music together. Instead of just coming together and say, hey, can you do a gig? Okay, boom, here are my charts. It's something about practicing. It really helps.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean that you don't know what you're doing. If you're a good reader, that's good. But something about pulling it together, kind of tweaking some of the things that you want to do, having that ear. It's a lot of things that just go missing. I teach some students sometimes, and some of the things that they don't even know that I would think they should know as just basic music theory. It just blows my mind. I'm like, you don't even know what that means,
Right.
So it's a lot of deceptiveness out there too.
Oh yeah. So yeah, we're gonna, because we got about 15 minutes here. We're gonna get into talk about your album.
Okay.
And, we're gonna play the waltz. Is it Machi or Machi?
Machi.
Machi.
Yeah.
Okay. So tell us a little bit about the album Flavors of Jazz. They can get it. I'm gonna put a link up here.
Okay.
At Charles Williams at his website. So we put that up there. CharlesWilliamsPiano.com.
Yeah.
And there's a link. Click on music.
Yeah. Click on music. You can buy it, and of course, and if you go to the music page, you'll see iTunes and CD Baby and Amazon.
Okay.
And all that, PayPal, and you can just do it like that. This particular song is written by my daughter. I only have one daughter, and she's my heart. She was born on Father's Day, and so I just always wanted to write a song about her, and so I did. And a lot of the guys love playing this song.
It's a beautiful song.
Thank
like,
you.
The changes are nice. The melody's nice. Like it's like that's what I like. Like when tunes are like the melody can just exist on its own. It's so strong that people can walk away singing the melody.
Yeah.
Even if even if they're not musicians. It's a real strong melody, and the harmony is complimentary of it. So I enjoyed listening to it. But so who's on the record too? We didn't talk about.
Two great musicians that I really like: Mike Warren, drummer, and DeAndre Manning on bass.
Yeah. Two really good cats, man. All right, so this is Machi, right?
Yes.
All right, we are back. I'm here with Charles Williams, the piano man, and that was Machi. And that's a beautiful tune. I was just talking about like the best songs for me. It's like reminds me of a time and place, and that tune is just like a walk. It's like a walk through a park where the leaves are falling. It's just it's a beautiful vibe, beautiful tune, man. I can hear like when I'm hearing that, I'm like hearing the big band arrangement
Wow, yeah,
already.
yeah.
you know,
Okay, cool.
you know.
That would be a thrill. And that's and my goal now is to write more songs. And I got a lot of things at home, and I'm just tweaking them, getting them written. I'm trying to get my Sibelius and finale
Yeah,
skills up. So
yeah,
so it's 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 great. And being part of the Kansas City Jazz Artists, you got a lot of great writers in there, and some of the guys help you, and um, I count it very privileged to be a part of that organization as well.
yeah. That's great, man. So we got about 7 minutes here. So talk about what you got coming up, your CD release, of course, and just what's next on the horizon for you.
I just would like to promote the CD and like to promote it as much as I can on the air. Maybe tour some, take some cats to play some music, and make sure they're taken care of, financially and all that. And main thing, my main objective is to get the music out there, leave some kind of little legacy. Uh, and like I said, not so much trying to promote myself and make myself some big artist or something like that. It's all about the music, so people can be happy. They hear something good, something they can remember, and maybe paint a picture as they listen to it.
Mm-hmm.
I think whatever is, this is what I was told a long time ago, what comes from the heart goes to the heart. So if you're playing from your heart, people are going to feel that love. They're going to feel that compassion of the music that you have. No doubt about it. I don't care what genre it is.
Mm-hmm.
If it's from the heart, whether it be jazz, R&B, gospel, whatever it is, it's going to be heartfelt. And it's like medicine to me, to help you feel good.
Oh yeah.
So the goal is just promote it. CD release. It's April 14th. Um, at the Blue Room. I guess it's okay to say
Yeah, oh yeah,
that.
yeah. You can say
The
that.
Blue
We can say
Room.
anything.
Uh,
We got no FCC over here.
okay, it's the Blue Room, and so it's. I'm looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to having a good night. It's 8:30. Um, and so yeah, hopefully I can get some more music out. I got some more songs get ready to come out, and um, just working on trying to promote it and push it, and get my fair share of time, like a lot of people do as well. And so
Yeah, that's great, man. So thank you guys for tuning in to the ninth episode of Ask a Jazz Dude. They have not shut us down yet. We're still here. I'm waiting for somebody to come knocking and say we got to shut you down. Nah, I'm just
I
playing.
hope not. Yeah.
But yeah, just musicians, man. We gotta. And I want to clarify something. I wasn't knocking the clubs at all in town. I'm just saying
No,
that
no, no,
we have to. We can't be completely reliant on that. We got to start creating opportunities for ourselves. And like what we was talking about, like in the old days, we got to bring the music to the people too. Like we got to get it to them. And sometimes we can't just expect to show up to a place and people are going to come see. They might not be able to come see it, but the people who don't have the means to get there are probably the people that need the music the most. So just still play clubs and all of that, but always be trying to find a way to be creative to create opportunities for yourself
yeah. Absolutely.
and for the community. Like he said, he's not trying to be a you know promoting himself or all of that, but what you're doing is great for the community and jazz. And the better we can lift each other up. That's one of the reasons why I have the show is to bring people on and show
Right.
people what they're doing, lift them up, and then it's just going to be better for everybody. But I don't think we should be in the mentality of like, it's just all about me and gigs, gigs, gigs for myself, and at the cost of the scene. So the scene is most important thing. The community is the most important thing because that's going to be give it longevity as opposed to short term. So I think sometimes we focus on the short term. We got to look at the big picture.
You got to look at the picture, look at your future. Uh, all that's so important. A lot of times, guys forget about their future. What are you going to be doing when you're 60 and 70? And what kind of Social Security, if it's around, are you going to be pulling in after that? You got to be sure you looking out for yourself in that aspect.
Yeah,
because it comes fast, believe me.
Yeah, it's, what if Johnny's Jazz Club shuts down tomorrow and you playing there,
and it happens.
So I'm just saying, to you guys, I want everybody to win in this scene and to be a good thing. And not just this scene, the whole scene of the world. I got a lot of people in Atlanta, everywhere. I mean, I think if we focus on that, then everybody has their spot and there's enough for everybody. So yeah, thank you so much, Charles, for coming out, man.
Thank you, Marcus.
This is fun. This hour flew by for me, man.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so yeah, check him out at the Blue Room April 14th, right?
Yeah, Saturday.
And that's what time is that?
8:30.
8:30. Yeah. So check him out and go pick up a copy of that great CD, Flavors of Jazz. We'd like to thank KKFI for having us here. Tune in at 1 o'clock on kkfi.org. They'll be playing jazz in the afternoon starting at 1. And thank you all for watching. See you next time. Squad.